"You have 3 days, Mrs. Castellano. 3 days, or my men will be back. And next time, we won't be knocking." Elena's hands trembled as she clutched the doorframe, her knuckles white against the peeling paint. The 2 men in dark suits stood on her crumbling front porch, their shadows stretching across the threshold like hungry wolves. Behind her, she could hear Tommy's labored breathing. Her 6-year-old son's asthma always got worse when he sensed her fear. "Please," she whispered, hating how broken she sounded. "My husband died 8 months ago. I'm doing everything I can. I work 2 jobs. I just need more time." "That's what you said last month," the taller one interrupted, his voice cold as January frost. "Mr. Dante doesn't accept excuses. $60,000. 3 days." The door slammed and Elena's legs gave out. She slid down against the wall, pressing her palm against her mouth to muffle the sob that threatened to escape. She couldn't fall apart. Not now. Not when Sophia was upstairs trying to get the twins down for their nap, her 12-year-old daughter forced to play mother because Elena was barely holding their world together with fraying thread. $60,000. Her late husband Marco's gambling debt, a secret he'd carried to his grave, a secret that was now crushing her family like a vice, one day at a time. She had $73 in her checking account. Her next paycheck from the diner wasn't for another week. The hospital was already threatening to send Tommy's medical bills to collections. 3 days might as well have been 3 hours. Elena forced herself to stand, smoothing down her worn waitress uniform. She had the evening shift at Romano's starting in 20 minutes. Then the overnight cleaning shift at the office building downtown. 4 hours of sleep if she was lucky. Wake up, get the kids to school. Try to find a miracle somewhere between the morning coffee and the lunch rush. "Mama?" Sophia appeared at the top of the stairs, her brown eyes too old, too worried for a child. "Who was at the door?" "Nobody, sweetheart. Just some salesman." Elena manufactured a smile, the same lie she'd been perfecting for months. "Can you watch your brothers and sister tonight? I left lasagna in the fridge." "I know, Mama. I always do." The guilt was a physical weight in Elena's chest. Sophia should be at sleepovers, giggling about boys, living the carefree life of a 7th grader. Instead, she was changing diapers and helping Tommy with his breathing treatments. "I love you," Elena said, climbing halfway up the stairs to kiss her daughter's forehead. "All of this, I promise it's going to get better." She just had no idea how. The diner was slammed that night. Elena's feet ached in her discount sneakers as she rushed between tables, forcing brightness into her voice as she took orders and refilled coffee cups. Her mind wouldn't stop racing. $60,000. 3 days. What would they do when those men came back? Would they hurt the children? Would they take the house? This tiny, falling-apart house that was the only home her babies knew? "Earth to Elena!" Her manager's sharp voice cut through her spiral. "Table 7's been waiting 10 minutes for their check." Sorry. She grabbed the leather folder and hurried over, her hands still shaking. The customer, an older woman with kind eyes, caught her wrist gently. "Honey, are you all right? You look like you've seen a ghost." Elena's throat tightened. "I'm fine, ma'am. Just tired." The woman pressed a $20 bill into her palm, a generous tip for a $12 meal. "Go home and rest. And whatever's weighing on you, remember, the Lord doesn't give us more than we can handle." Elena wanted to believe that. She really did. She left Romano's at 11 and drove her sputtering sedan across town to the Grayson Financial Building. 5 floors of offices that needed vacuuming, trash emptied, bathrooms scrubbed. She was usually alone in the building except for Marcus, the night security guard who mostly napped at his desk. But tonight, as she pushed her cleaning cart out of the elevator on the 4th floor, she heard voices. Male voices, low and intense, coming from the corner office. She froze. The Grayson building was supposed to be empty after 9. "I don't care what excuse Petrov has." The voice was deep, commanding, edged with barely controlled fury. He knew the terms. He knew the deadline. Now he wants to renegotiate because his shipment got intercepted. That's his problem, not mine. Elena should have turned around, should have quietly returned to the elevator and started on a different floor. But something about that voice, the cold authority in it, the dangerous calm, made her pulse spike with recognition. This wasn't a late-night business meeting. "What do you want us to do, boss?" A second voice, rougher. "Send a message? I want you to remind him why people don't break deals with me. But nothing permanent. I still need him functional. He's got 3 more payments to make." Elena's blood ran cold. She knew exactly what kind of business was being discussed, and she knew she was hearing things that could get her killed. She took a careful step backward, but her cart's wheel caught on the carpet edge. The bottle of glass cleaner toppled, hitting the floor with a sharp crack. The voices stopped. What was that? Footsteps. Fast, coming toward the hallway. Elena's heart hammered against her ribs. She abandoned the cart and ran for the stairwell, her sneakers silent on the carpet. She'd almost reached the door when a hand shot out and grabbed her arm, spinning her around with effortless strength. She found herself staring up at the most terrifying man she'd ever seen. He was tall, at least 6'3", with dark hair swept back from a face that looked carved from marble. Sharp cheekbones, a straight nose, lips that were currently pressed into a dangerous line. But it was his eyes that stopped her breath, pale gray like storm clouds, and cold enough to freeze the sun. He was also objectively the most beautiful man she'd ever seen, which somehow made him more frightening. "Please," she managed, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm just the cleaning lady. I didn't hear anything. I swear I didn't hear anything." His eyes traveled over her slowly, taking in her stained uniform, her name tag, the exhaustion written in every line of her face. His grip on her arm loosened slightly but didn't release. "The cleaning lady," he repeated, his voice soft. Deadly soft. "Working at 11:30 on a Thursday night." "I work overnight, 5 nights a week. I didn't know anyone was here. Please, I have children. 4 children. I can't—" Her voice cracked. "Please don't hurt me." Something flickered in those cold gray eyes, not quite softening, but shifting. He tilted his head, studying her with an intensity that made her feel exposed, vulnerable. "Your name?" "Elena. Elena Castellano." His eyes narrowed. "Castellano. Marco Castellano's widow." The world tilted. She tried to pull away, but his grip tightened again, not painful, but inescapable. "You know who I am," she breathed. "I know you owe me $60,000. I know my collectors visited you this evening. I know—" He paused, his gaze traveling over her again, seeing her differently now. "I know you're working yourself to death trying to pay for your dead husband's mistakes." 2 more men emerged from the office behind him, the same 2 who'd been on her porch earlier. They looked at her with recognition, with something that might have been pity. "Boss," one of them said, "want us to handle this?" The beautiful, terrifying man, Mr. Dante, she realized with dawning horror. This was Dominic Dante. The man who controlled half the city's underworld. The man her husband had borrowed from. The man who could make her disappear with a single word. "No," he said, his eyes never leaving her face. "I'll handle Mrs. Castellano personally." He released her arm, but moved to block the stairwell door. "Walk with me." It wasn't a request. Elena's legs felt like water, but she forced herself to move. He walked beside her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive that probably cost more than her monthly rent. They stopped at the elevator and he pressed the button. "I didn't mean to interrupt," she said desperately. "I'll forget everything I heard. I'll sign something, "You work 2 jobs," he interrupted. "The diner and this cleaning service. You have 4 children under 12. Your son has asthma. Your daughter is raising her siblings while you destroy yourself trying to keep a roof over their heads." She stared at him. "How do you know all that?" "I make it my business to know about my debtors, Mrs. Castellano, especially the interesting ones." The elevator arrived with a soft chime. He gestured for her to enter first. "You're interesting." Because I'm drowning in a debt I didn't create? Because you're fighting, anyway. He pressed the button for the ground floor. Most people in your position would have run, disappeared across state lines, changed their names. But you stayed. You're working yourself to the bone, trying to pay back money you never spent. My children deserve stability, Elena said quietly. They've lost their father. They can't lose their home, too. And I'm not a thief. Even if the debt isn't mine, I won't just walk away from it. The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Honorable, foolish, but honorable. So what happens now? She met his eyes, forcing herself not to look away. Are you going to kill me because I overheard your conversation? Because I can promise you, I don't even understand what I heard. I don't know who Petrov is. I don't know anything about your business. If I wanted you dead, Mrs. Castellano, you'd already be dead. The elevator doors opened. He placed a hand on the small of her back, guiding her out. The touch was gentle, but left no room for argument. I'm walking you to your car. This neighborhood isn't safe at this hour. The irony wasn't lost on her. The most dangerous thing in this neighborhood was currently escorting her through the parking garage. Her car looked even more pathetic next to his sleek black Mercedes. The sedan's passenger window was covered with duct tape where she couldn't afford to fix the broken glass. The bumper was held on with wire. He stared at it. You drive this? With 4 children? It runs. Mostly. She fumbled for her keys. Thank you for not killing me. I'll be back tomorrow night to finish the 4th floor. No, you won't. Her heart stopped. Please, I need this job. I need both jobs. I'm trying to pay you back. How much do you make? From both jobs combined. I don't see how that's... How much, Elena? The use of her first name, soft and commanding, made her shiver. 2,300 a month. Sometimes more with tips. But I have rent, utilities, food, Tommy's medications. You'll never pay me back, he said flatly. Not at that rate. Not with your expenses. You're running on a treadmill, getting nowhere. Tears burned behind her eyes. She wouldn't cry. Not in front of him. Then what do you want from me? I told you, I have nothing else to give. He was quiet for a long moment, studying her with those unnerving gray eyes. When he spoke, his voice was thoughtful, calculating. I want to make you a deal. What kind of deal? You work for me, directly, not cleaning offices, something that actually uses your intelligence. Elena's laugh was bitter. I'm a high school graduate and a waitress. What could I possibly do for you? You can manage a household, coordinate schedules, handle logistics. He leaned against her car, his expensive suit at odds with the rust and duct tape. I have a home that needs running, staff that needs supervising, events that need planning. It's work my current assistant handles poorly. You want me to be your housekeeper? Estate manager, live-in position, separate quarters for you and your children, full benefits, including health insurance for your son, salary of $75,000 a year. The number hit her like a physical blow. That's not real. Nobody pays that much for... I do. And in exchange, your debt is forgiven. Erased. Your husband's mistakes disappear. And you start fresh. It was too good to be true, which meant it was definitely too good to be true. What's the catch? Elena asked slowly. What do you really want from me? His smile was sharp, knowing. Smart girl. Yes, there's more. I need someone I can trust in my home. Someone with everything to lose, which means you'll be loyal. Someone who's already proven they're willing to work themselves to death for the people they love. That's valuable to me. You want me to spy for you, she realized. On your staff. On your business associates. I want you to be my eyes and ears. To tell me when something seems wrong. To protect what's mine. He stepped closer, and she caught that dark cologne again. You'll be well compensated, well protected, and your children will want for nothing. And if I say no? Then you keep working 2 jobs. Keep drowning. And in 3 days, when you can't make the payment, my men come back. I don't want that, Elena. Contrary to what you might think, I don't enjoy ruining families. She wanted to believe him. God help her. She wanted to believe him. Why me? She whispered. You could hire anyone. Someone with actual experience. Someone who didn't accidentally overhear your private conversation. Because you have fire, he said simply. I watched you try to run. I saw the fear in your eyes. But you still looked at me. Still spoke to me with dignity. Most people can't do that. And because when I told you I knew about your debt, your first thought was protecting your children, not yourself. He pushed off from the car. That's the kind of person I want in my home. Elena's mind raced. $75,000. Health insurance for Tommy. A safe place to live. No more 18-hour days. No more choosing between groceries and electricity. But this man was dangerous. A criminal. Whatever she'd be managing, it wouldn't just be a household. It would be a window into a world she'd only seen in movies. I need to think about it, she said. You have until tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. This is my address. He produced a business card from his jacket pocket. Heavy cream cardstock with raised lettering. An address in Riverside Heights, the most exclusive neighborhood in the city. If you don't show up, I'll assume your answer is no. The debt stands, and we proceed as originally planned. He opened her car door for her, a gentleman's gesture that felt surreal coming from a man who'd just threatened her family. Mr. Dante, she said as she slid into the driver's seat. If I do this, if I agree, my children can never know. What you really are, what you really do. They've been through enough. Agreed. To them, I'm a businessman. Investments and real estate. Nothing more. He closed her door carefully. Drive safe, Elena. I'll see you tomorrow. Or he wouldn't. Elena's hands shook on the steering wheel the entire drive home. Sophia was asleep on the couch when she got in, the television playing some late-night infomercial. Elena covered her daughter with a blanket and checked on the boys. Tommy's breathing was steady tonight, thank God. The twins were tangled together in their crib like puppies, 3-year-old faces peaceful in sleep. She stood in the hallway, looking at the water-stained ceiling, the worn carpet, the door frames marked with her children's growth spurts. This house was falling apart. They were falling apart. Dominic Dante was offering her a life raft. It might be attached to an anchor, but it was still more than she had now. She thought about those cold gray eyes, the dangerous beauty of his face, the way he'd touched her back, proprietary, but somehow protective. She thought about Marco. Her husband had been charming, affectionate, weak. He'd loved her in his way, but he'd also destroyed their future with his gambling, left her with this impossible burden. Dominic Dante wasn't offering love. He was offering a transaction, safety and security in exchange for loyalty and service. Maybe that was more honest than what Marco had given her. At 8:45 the next evening, Elena stood in front of her bathroom mirror, staring at her reflection. She'd told Sophia they were going to visit a new friend, that there might be a job opportunity, that everything was going to be okay. She'd put on her only nice dress, a simple navy blue sheath she'd worn to Marco's funeral, fixed her long brown hair into a neat bun, applied minimal makeup with shaking hands. She looked like she was going to an interview, or a funeral, maybe both. The address led her to a private road that wound through towering oak trees. The houses here weren't just large, they were estates. Mansions set back from the street, surrounded by manicured lawns and ornate iron fences. Dominic's home made the others look modest. The gate opened automatically as she approached, as if she'd been expected. The driveway curved through landscaped gardens lit by subtle ground lighting. The house itself was modern and sprawling, all clean lines and floor-to-ceiling windows that glowed warmly in the darkness. A man in a dark suit, not one of the collectors, someone new, opened her car door before she could gather her courage. Mrs. Castellano, Mr. Dante is expecting you. Please, follow me. The interior was stunning. Marble floors, soaring ceilings, art that probably cost more than her entire neighborhood. But it wasn't ostentatious. It was elegant, restrained, expensive in a way that didn't need to announce itself. She was led through a hallway, into a study lined with bookshelves. Dominic sat behind a massive desk, reviewing papers. He looked up when she entered, and something in his expression shifted, warmed, almost imperceptibly. "Elena, you came." "I said I'd think about it." "And?" She squared her shoulders, met those storm cloud eyes. "I need to see the living quarters first. I need to know where my children will sleep, what the school district is like, what my actual responsibilities would be. And I need your word that if this doesn't work out, the debt is still forgiven, that you won't punish my children for my failure." His smile was slow, approving. "I knew you had fire. Come." He showed her through the house personally, explained the staff structure, a housekeeper who came daily, a groundskeeper, a cook. He needed someone to coordinate them all, to manage his calendar, to handle the logistics of running an estate this size. The separate quarters turned out to be an entire wing. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a small kitchen, and a living area. It was bigger than her current house, cleaner, safer, windows that locked properly, climate control, walls without water stains or mold. "The school district is top-rated," Dominic said, watching her take it all in. "Your daughter would attend Riverside Prep. Your sons would go to the elementary school nearby. Both are within walking distance. Both are excellent." "This is too much," Elena whispered. "For managing your household, you'll be doing more than that." He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "You'll be the person who knows everything about my home life, my schedule, my habits. When I have guests, what I need prepared. You'll have access to parts of my world that very few people see. That's worth more than money, Elena. That requires trust. And you trust me? You've known me for 24 hours. I trust your motivation. Your children are your world. As long as I keep them safe and happy, you'll do what's necessary to protect them. That's more reliable than any contract." It should have sounded threatening. Instead, it sounded like he understood her better than anyone had in years. "When would we start?" she heard herself ask. 2 weeks. That gives you time to quit your current jobs, to prepare your children, to move your belongings." He straightened. "I'll have the paperwork drawn up. Employment contract, non-disclosure agreement, and a document confirming your debt is forgiven, legally binding. And if something happens to you?" The question was bold, possibly stupid, but she needed to know. "If you die, or go to prison, or—" "Then you and your children own this wing outright. It's written into the contract. You'll be protected regardless of what happens to me." He stepped closer, and she caught that dark cologne again. "I take care of what's mine, Elena. And if you agree to this, you and your children will be mine to protect." The words sent a shiver down her spine. Possessive, dangerous. And somehow, despite everything, they made her feel safer than she had in months. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll do it." His eyes flashed with something that might have been triumph, satisfaction. He extended his hand. "Welcome to my employ, Mrs. Castellano." She took his hand. His grip was warm, strong, encompassing. A handshake that felt like a promise, a claim. "Elena," she said softly, "if we're doing this, you should call me Elena." "Elena," he repeated, and the way he said her name made her heart skip. "Then you should call me Dominic, when we're alone." The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of paperwork and preparations. Elena quit both her jobs. Her manager at the diner was sorry to see her go, genuinely wished her well. The cleaning service barely noticed. Telling the children was harder. Sophia was suspicious. Too smart not to sense something was off. But when Elena showed her pictures of Riverside Prep, of the beautiful campus and the art program and the robotics team. Something like hope flickered in her daughter's eyes. "Is this real, Mama? Can we really live there?" "It's real, baby. I promise." Tommy was excited about having his own room. The twins didn't understand much beyond big house and new toys, but they were adaptable at 3. Moving day arrived. Elena's possessions filled less than half of a small moving truck. Furniture too worn to bother bringing, clothes and toys, and the few family photos she'd kept. Dominic had told her not to bring furniture. The quarters were already furnished, beautifully, with everything they could need. When they pulled up to the estate, Sophia pressed her face against the car window, eyes wide. "Mama, this is like a palace." "It's our home now," Elena said, trying to sound confident. Normal, like this wasn't the most surreal moment of her life. Dominic met them in the circular driveway. He'd dressed casually, dark jeans, a gray sweater that matched his eyes. He looked younger like this, less dangerous, almost approachable. "Welcome," he said, and then he crouched down to the children's level. "You must be Sophia. I've heard you're an artist." Sophia blinked, surprised. "I like to draw." "There's an art studio in the house, 3rd floor. You're welcome to use it whenever you like." He turned to Tommy next. "And you're the brave one. Your mother tells me you're very strong." Tommy puffed up a little, standing straighter despite the inhaler in his pocket. "I'm getting stronger every day." "I can see that." Dominic's smile was genuine. "There's a pool in the back. Swimming is excellent for breathing strength. We'll get you lessons if you'd like." Elena watched him interact with her children, this dangerous man transforming into someone gentle, patient. It was disarming, confusing. The twins hid behind her legs, too shy to speak. "And these must be the troublemakers," Dominic said, his voice warm with amusement. "Don't worry, little ones. We have a whole yard for you to cause chaos in." He stood, his eyes meeting Elena's. "Let me show you to your rooms." The children scattered immediately, exploring their new space with shouts of delight. Sophia claimed the room with the window seat. Tommy bounced on his new bed, testing the springs. The twins discovered a toy box someone, Dominic, had already filled with age-appropriate toys. Elena stood in the center of the living area, overwhelmed. "It's too much," she said again. "It's what you've earned." Dominic stood in the doorway, giving her space but watching her carefully. "Your first official day is tomorrow. But tonight, settle in. Get the children comfortable. Order anything you need, food, supplies, whatever. There's a house account. Use it. Dominic," she turned to face him, "why are you being so kind to them? To us?" His expression was unreadable. "Because I know what it's like to watch your family suffer, because of someone else's choices. Because I believe children should be protected, regardless of their parents' mistakes." He paused. "And because something about you makes me want to be better than I am." Before she could respond, he was gone, leaving her with those words echoing in her empty living room. Elena's first official day started at 7 in the morning. Dominic was already in his office, dressed in a sharp charcoal suit, on the phone speaking rapid Italian. He gestured for her to enter, pointing to the chair across from his desk. She waited, listening to the melody of a language she didn't understand, watching the way his expressions shifted, hard, then calculating, then cold as ice. When he ended the call, he switched gears immediately, pulling out a tablet. "Your main responsibilities: coordinating the household staff, managing my personal calendar, planning any events I host here, handling correspondence that isn't business-related. You'll have access to everything except my private office files." He slid the tablet across the desk. "This has all the information you'll need. Contacts, schedules, preferences. Study it. When do you host events?" "Once or twice a month. Business dinners mostly, occasionally something larger." His eyes met hers. "The guests will be respectable. Politicians, real estate developers, investors. Nothing you need to worry about." She wondered how many of those respectable guests knew what he really was. "I'll also need you to accompany me sometimes," he continued, "as my date for appearances." Elena's breath caught. Your date? Not a real one, just for show. Certain events require a companion. You'll dress appropriately, smile, make small talk, nothing more. I don't have clothes for that kind of thing. You do now. I've arranged for a stylist to visit tomorrow. She'll set you up with everything you need. He stood, buttoning his jacket. I have a meeting downtown. I'll be back by 6. The cook is preparing dinner at 7. You and the children will join me. I want to establish routine. It wasn't a request. That night, dinner was surprisingly normal. Dominic asked the children about their day. Sophia talked about the art studio. Tommy described the pool. The twins made a mess of their spaghetti, and Dominic just laughed, wiping marinara sauce off the table with the patience of someone who'd done it before. You're good with them, Elena said later, after the children had been sent to get ready for bed. I have nieces and nephews. I'm not a complete monster. He poured himself 2 fingers of scotch. Though I imagine you've been researching me, finding out exactly what kind of monster I am. She had, carefully using the estate's computer. Dominic Dante, 35 years old. Self-made billionaire according to the public records. Real estate empire. Investment portfolios. Philanthropic donations to children's hospitals and schools. And underneath, if you knew where to look, organized crime connections, suspected money laundering, associates with criminal records, a man who moved through legitimate and illegitimate worlds with equal ease. I found some things, she admitted, and yet you're still here. Because my children are safer with you than drowning without you. She met his eyes. Because I think, despite everything, you're a man who keeps his word. I am. He set down his glass. Always. Remember that, Elena. I will never lie to you. I may not tell you everything, but what I do tell you will be truth. It should have been a red flag. Instead, it felt like the foundation of something she didn't want to name. The weeks turned into months. Elena found her rhythm. Managing the household was actually easier than working 2 jobs, and infinitely less exhausting. The staff respected her. Dominic trusted her judgment. The children thrived. Sophia joined the art club at school and came home glowing. Tommy's asthma improved with regular swimming and better medication. The twins had space to run and play, no longer confined to a cramped house. Elena herself transformed. The stylist had given her a wardrobe of elegant, professional clothing. She started sleeping more than 4 hours a night. The stress lines around her eyes softened. She caught Dominic watching her sometimes, in the hallway, across the dinner table, during the rare moments when they were alone in his study, reviewing schedules. His eyes weren't cold anymore, at least not when they looked at her. You're different than when you arrived, he said one evening. They were in the library. He'd been reading contracts. She'd been reviewing catering quotes for an upcoming dinner party. I'm not exhausted and terrified, she said lightly. That probably helps. You were beautiful then, too. But now, he set down his papers. Now you look like yourself. Not just a mother, not just a survivor. You. The air between them changed, thickened. Dominic. I know this is complicated, he said quietly. I know what I am, what my world is. But Elena, I need you to know, you're not just an employee to me. Not anymore. Her heart hammered. Then what am I? Someone I look forward to seeing. Someone whose opinion matters. Someone I think about far more than I should. He stood, crossing the space between them slowly, giving her time to move away. She didn't. This is a terrible idea, she whispered as he stopped inches from her. Probably. His hand came up, fingertips brushing her cheek. Tell me to stop, and I will. Tell me this crosses a line, and we'll never speak of it again. She should. This was her employer. A dangerous man. Someone who could destroy her with a word. But he'd also saved her, protected her children, given her a life she'd never dreamed possible. And when she looked into those gray eyes, she didn't see a monster. She saw a man who made her feel safe, valued, desired. "Don't stop," she breathed. He kissed her carefully, gently, like she was precious, like he'd been wanting to do this for months but was afraid of breaking her. Elena's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, and the kiss deepened, became something hungrier, more desperate. Months of tension and unspoken wanting pouring out in the darkness of the library. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dominic rested his forehead against hers. "I don't do relationships," he said. "I've never wanted to. But with you, I can't be just another woman in your bed," she interrupted. "I won't. My children are here. I won't let them see me as someone disposable." "You're not disposable." His hands cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. "You're essential. You've become essential to me, Elena, and that terrifies me, because people I care about become targets." "Then we'll be careful." "There is no careful. Not in my world." But even as he said it, he was kissing her again, pulling her closer, making promises with his mouth that his words wouldn't speak. They kept it secret. From the staff, from the children, stolen moments in his study after everyone went to bed, careful touches when they passed in hallways, the occasional night when he'd slip into her quarters, and they'd lie tangled together in her bed, talking in whispers about everything and nothing. Elena learned about him in those quiet hours, about the brother he'd lost to violence when they were teenagers, about building his empire from nothing, using methods he wasn't proud of, but wouldn't apologize for, about the loneliness of being feared by everyone. "I'm not afraid of you," she told him one night, her fingers tracing patterns on his bare chest. "You should be. But I'm not, because I've seen who you are with my children, how you go to every one of Sophia's art shows, how you taught Tommy to swim, how you let the twins climb all over you like a jungle gym." She pressed a kiss to his shoulder. "That's who you really are, Dominic. The other stuff, that's just what you do. The other stuff has killed people, Elena, destroyed families. Did they deserve it?" His laugh was bitter. "Does anyone deserve it?" "I think," she said carefully, "that the world isn't black and white, that good people sometimes do bad things to protect what matters, and bad people sometimes do good things for the same reason." She raised her head to look at him. "You're protecting me and my children. That makes you good in my book." He pulled her closer, kissing her with an intensity that stole her breath. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not, but you have me anyway." 4 months into their secret relationship, everything shattered. Elena was in Dominic's office, updating his calendar, when 2 men she'd never seen before walked in without knocking. They looked at her with cold appraisal, then at Dominic. "We need to talk," the taller one said. "Private business." "Elena, could you give us a moment?" Dominic's voice was carefully neutral, but she saw the tension in his shoulders. She left, but didn't go far. Something about those men set off alarm bells. She stood in the hallway, close enough to hear raised voices through the door. "Your decision is putting everyone at risk. The families won't tolerate. I don't care what they tolerate. I'm not doing business with Volkov. End of discussion." "He's offering millions. This is about the woman, isn't it? Dante, you're thinking with the wrong head." The sound of something hitting the wall. Dominic's voice, deadly quiet. "You will never mention her again. Do you understand me?" Elena's blood ran cold. She was the woman they were talking about. She was causing problems. That night, Dominic was tense, distant. He barely spoke during dinner. After the children went to bed, he called her to his study. "We need to talk." Those 4 words had never sounded more ominous. "I heard," she said before he could continue. This afternoon, the men who visited. I'm causing issues for your business. He closed his eyes. You weren't supposed to hear that. But it's true, isn't it? Me being here, us being whatever we are, it's a complication you don't need. Elena, maybe I should take the children and leave. You've done so much for us already. We can stand on our own now. No. The word cracked through the room. He crossed to her in 3 strides, gripping her shoulders. You're not leaving. I won't allow it. You don't control me. I'm in love with you. The confession erupted from him like he'd been holding it back for too long. I'm in love with you and your children and this life we've built. And yes, it's complicated. Yes, it makes business harder. But I don't care. I would burn my entire empire to the ground before I let you go. Elena stared at him, her world tilting. You're in love with me? Desperately, completely, in a way that makes me reckless and stupid and willing to go to war with anyone who threatens you. His hands gentled on her shoulders. I know I'm asking you to step into danger by being with me. I know it's not fair, but I'm too selfish to let you go. I love you too, she whispered. I have for weeks. I've been terrified to say it because I thought you'd think I was trying to manipulate you, or... He kissed her, hard and possessive and relieved. Marry me. What? Marry me. Make it official. Make it clear to everyone, my associates, the other families, the entire city, that you and your children are under my protection, that anyone who touches you answers to me. Dominic, that's insane. We've been together for 4 months. I don't care. I've never been more certain of anything. He pulled back just enough to look into her eyes. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to watch your children grow up. I want to build something real, something good, in the middle of all the darkness. Say yes, Elena. Say you'll be mine. She should say no. This was crazy. Too fast. Too dangerous. But when she looked at him, at this powerful, dangerous, beautiful man who'd saved her family and loved her children and made her feel more cherished than she'd ever been, the answer was obvious. Yes, she breathed. Yes, I'll marry you. His smile was blinding. He kissed her again, deeper this time, and she felt his relief like a physical thing. When he finally released her, he was already pulling out his phone. I'm calling my jeweler. You'll have a ring by tomorrow. Dominic, and we're having an engagement party, here, in 2 weeks. I'm inviting everyone, every business associate, every family head, every 2-bit operator who thinks they can pressure me. They'll all see you wearing my ring. They'll all know you're mine. Elena's head spun. You're really doing this. I'm really doing this. He cupped her face, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. I'm claiming you publicly, Elena. No more hiding. No more secrets. You're going to be Mrs. Dominic Dante, and everyone will know it. The engagement party was lavish. 200 guests filled the estate's ballroom and spilled into the gardens. Women in designer gowns. Men in expensive suits. Politicians and business moguls, and people whose faces Elena recognized from the news. She wore ivory, not quite a wedding dress, but close. Dominic had insisted. The ring on her finger was a brilliant cut diamond surrounded by sapphires. Obscenely expensive. Impossible to miss. Dominic kept her at his side all night, his hand at the small of her back, introducing her to everyone. My fiancée, Elena, soon to be my wife. She saw the looks, the speculation, the barely concealed shock that Dominic Dante, the man who'd never been serious about anyone, was not only engaged, but clearly completely smitten. You're making a scene, she murmured during a rare private moment. That's the point. He pressed a kiss to her temple. I want everyone here to understand. You're not a weakness. You're my strength, and anyone who thinks otherwise is welcome to try me. Later, when most of the guests had left, Dominic gathered everyone close for a toast. Sophia and Tommy were still up, dressed in their fancy clothes, eyes wide at the spectacle. The twins had long since been put to bed. Dominic raised his glass. "Thank you all for celebrating with us tonight. Most of you know me as someone who doesn't do this, doesn't let people in, doesn't build a family. But this woman..." He looked at Elena, his expression soft. "This woman changed everything. She walked into my life afraid and desperate, and she stayed even when she learned who I really was. She gave me something I didn't know I needed. Purpose beyond power. Love beyond business." He turned to Sophia and Tommy. "And her children gave me something even more valuable. They taught me what it means to protect something innocent, to be someone worth looking up to. I promise you both, right now, in front of everyone, I will spend the rest of my life keeping you and your mother safe, being the man you deserve." Tears streamed down Elena's face. Sophia was crying too, smiling through it. Dominic turned back to the remaining guests. "So, here's what I want everyone to understand. This family is mine. Anyone who threatens them threatens me. And we all know how that ends." The words were soft, pleasant, but the threat underneath was unmistakable. Someone in the crowd started clapping. Then another. Soon the entire room was applauding. After everyone finally left, after the children were in bed, Dominic found Elena on the balcony overlooking the gardens. "You threatened your business associates at our engagement party?" she said without turning around. "I did." He wrapped his arms around her from behind. "Are you angry?" "I'm terrified and grateful, and so completely in love with you, it's ridiculous." She leaned back against him. "You didn't have to do that. Make such a public declaration." "Yes, I did. Because I need them to understand. You're not a secret. You're not something I'm ashamed of or hiding. You're my future. My family." He turned her to face him. "In 2 weeks, you're going to marry me. And then there's no going back. You'll be Dominic Dante's wife. Everything that means, good and bad, becomes yours too." "I know." "And you're still saying yes?" Elena smiled, rising on her toes to kiss him. "I'm still saying yes, because you're worth it. Because this life, these children, this love, it's worth it. Because I'd rather be Mrs. Dante and face the danger together than be alone and safe." "You'll never be alone again," he promised against her lips. "I swear it." The wedding was smaller. Just close family and trusted friends. Sophia cried. Tommy cheered. The twins threw flower petals everywhere except where they were supposed to go. Elena wore white, a simple, elegant gown that made Dominic's breath catch when she walked down the makeshift aisle in their garden. When he lifted her veil, his hands were shaking. "I love you," he whispered. "I will love you until my last breath. And I love you, my dangerous, beautiful, impossible man." When they kissed, sealing their vows, Elena felt something click into place, like her life had finally aligned into what it was always supposed to be. That night, in their bedroom, their shared bedroom now, Dominic pulled her close. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For giving me a reason to be better. For loving me even when you knew you shouldn't. For making me believe I could have this. A family, a real home, something beyond just survival and power." "Thank you for saving me," she replied. "For seeing me when I was drowning. For protecting my children like they're your own. They are my own now. You all are." He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. "My family. My purpose. My everything." And as Elena drifted to sleep in her husband's arms, in their beautiful home, with her children safe down the hall, she thought about that night in the parking garage, when she'd been terrified and desperate, facing down a dangerous man who'd offered her an impossible choice. She'd chosen him, and he'd chosen her right back. The rich Mafia boss had come to collect a debt, but he'd found something far more valuable than money. He'd found love. But peace, Elena would learn, was never permanent in Dominic's world. 3 months into their marriage, she woke to find his side of the bed empty. The clock read 2:17 in the morning. She wrapped herself in a robe and went looking, her bare feet silent on the marble floors. She found him in his office, staring at his computer screen. His face was pale, his jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscle jumping. "Dominic?" He looked up, and the expression in his eyes made her blood freeze. Pure, cold fury. And underneath it, something that looked like fear. "Go back to bed, Elena." "Not until you tell me what's wrong." He was silent for a long moment. Then he turned the computer screen toward her. The image made her stomach turn. It was Sophia, walking home from school. The photo had been taken from across the street, zoomed in, and at the bottom a message in red text. "Beautiful daughter. Would be a shame if something happened to her." Elena's legs gave out. She grabbed the desk for support. "Who sent this?" "Sergei Volkov." Dominic's voice was deadly quiet. "The business deal I refused. He's been making moves against my operations for months. Small things, testing boundaries. But this," his fist slammed onto the desk, "this crosses every line. We need to call the police. The police can't help us, not with this." He stood, beginning to pace like a caged predator. "Volkov operates outside their reach. He has connections, money, men who'd kill without hesitation. If I go to the authorities, it makes you and the children look vulnerable. Weak. That's exactly what he wants." Elena's mind raced, terror clawing at her throat. "Then what do? We can't let him hurt Sophia. We can't. He won't." Dominic crossed to her, gripping her shoulders. "I swear to you, Elena, he won't touch our children. I'm going to end this. Tonight." "What does that mean?" His eyes were cold, empty. The eyes of the man she'd first met in that office building, before she'd seen his gentler side. "It means I'm going to remind Sergei Volkov why people don't threaten what's mine. Dominic, if you do something, if you get arrested or killed, I won't. But I need you to trust me. I need you to take the children and go somewhere safe, just for tonight." "No." Elena straightened, forcing steel into her spine. "I'm not leaving you. The children can stay with my sister across town. She doesn't know anything about your business. They'll be safe there. But I'm staying here. With you. Elena, this isn't... I'm your wife. That means I stand with you, especially when things get dangerous. You don't get to protect me by pushing me away." She cupped his face, forcing him to look at her. "We handle this together." Something in his expression cracked, softened. "You're the strongest person I've ever met. Then let me be strong for you too." Within an hour, the children were packed and sent to her sister's apartment. Sophia had protested. She'd seen the fear in Elena's eyes, but Elena had kissed her forehead and promised everything would be okay. Tommy held his inhaler tight, worried. The twins were confused but compliant. "I love you," Elena told each of them. "Be good for Aunt Maria. I'll see you tomorrow." She prayed it wasn't a lie. Back at the estate, Dominic was in his study with 6 men Elena had never seen before. They were dangerous-looking, hard-faced, the kind of men who made violence look easy. They stopped talking when she entered. "She stays," Dominic said before anyone could object. "She's my wife. She has every right to know what's happening." The tallest man, gray-haired, scarred, nodded slowly. "Mrs. Dante, your husband says Volkov threatened your daughter." "He did." Elena refused to let her voice shake. "What are we going to do about it?" "We're going to send a message, the kind Volkov understands." He looked at Dominic. "But boss, you need to understand. This starts a war. Volkov has resources, men. If we hit him, he'll hit back harder. Then we make sure the first hit ends it." Dominic's voice was ice. "I want every operation he runs shut down tonight. His warehouses, his distribution centers, his money laundering fronts. I want him to wake up tomorrow with nothing. And I want him to know exactly why it happened. That's aggressive, even for you. He threatened my daughter. Aggressive doesn't begin to cover what I'm willing to do. The men left to execute the plan. Elena and Dominic were alone in the study, the weight of what was coming settling over them like a suffocating blanket. I'm scared, Elena admitted quietly. So am I. He pulled her into his arms. But I'm more scared of what happens if I do nothing. If I let Volkov think he can use our family as leverage. That opens the door for everyone else to try the same thing. So, you burn his entire operation to the ground. I burn everything he's built. I make him an example. And then maybe, the others will think twice before they look at you or our children. Elena understood the logic. Hated that she understood it. This was the world she'd married into. A world where threats had to be answered with overwhelming force. Where showing mercy meant inviting destruction. I don't want you to become a monster because of us, she whispered. I've always been a monster, Elena. You just made me want to use it for something good. The night dragged on. Dominic received updates on his phone, terse messages that made his expression harder with each one. Elena stayed beside him, her hand in his, offering the only support she could. At 4 a.m, one of his men called. Dominic put it on speaker. It's done. 7 locations hit simultaneously. Volkov's lost approximately $30 million in product and cash. His distribution network is crippled. But boss? He knows. He's threatening retaliation. Let him try. Dominic's voice was deadly calm. Make sure he understands the next move is his to make, and whatever he does, I'll respond tenfold. He ended the call and looked at Elena. You should try to sleep. You think I can sleep? While we're waiting to see if a Russian mobster is going to send people to kill us? Fair point. He pulled her closer. I'm sorry. I never wanted this life to touch you and the children. You gave us a better life than we ever could have had without you. So if this is the price, she took a shaking breath, then we pay it. Together. The sun was rising when the call came. Not from one of Dominic's men. From Volkov himself. Dominic answered, his expression unreadable. Sergei. The voice on the other end was accented, smooth, dangerous. You've made your point, Dante, quite dramatically. But surely you realize this isn't over. It is over, because if you ever, and I mean ever, look at my family again, I won't just destroy your operations. I'll destroy you, personally. There won't be a hole deep enough for you to hide in. Brave words. But you have weaknesses now. A wife. Children. That makes you vulnerable. No. Dominic's eyes met Elena's. It makes me lethal, because I now have something worth killing for. Something worth dying for. And that, Sergei, makes me the most dangerous man you'll ever face. Silence on the other end. Then, perhaps we can reach an understanding. Here's my understanding. You forget my family exists. You never look at them, never speak of them, never even think about them. In exchange, I'll allow you to rebuild what I destroyed. Slowly, painfully. But you'll be allowed to continue operating. And if I refuse, then tomorrow morning you won't wake up. Neither will your lieutenants, or your brother, or anyone else you care about. I'll salt the earth of everything you've built, Sergei. Try me. Another pause. Elena could hear the calculation in that silence. Volkov weighing his options, deciding if his pride was worth dying for. Agreed, Volkov finally said. Your family is off limits. We have no quarrel. Smart choice. Dominic ended the call. Elena's hands were shaking. Is it really over? With Volkov? Yes, he's a businessman ultimately. He knows when the cost exceeds the benefit. Dominic set down his phone and pulled her into his lap. But this is what it means to be with me, Elena. Threats will come. Enemies will test us. and I'll respond the only way I know how. By being terrifying and ruthless. By protecting what's mine with everything I have. She buried her face in his neck. I hate that I'm relieved. I hate that I'm glad you destroyed his operations. That's not who I thought I was. You're a mother, a wife. You do what you must to protect your family. That's not wrong, Elena. That's human. Is it human to be married to a man who threatens to kill people? I don't know, but you're doing it anyway. He tilted her face up to his. Still love me? Even now that you've seen what I'm capable of? She should say no, should be horrified, should take her children and run as far as she could from this dangerous, violent world. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw the truth. He'd done this for Sophia, for all of them. He'd unleashed hell to keep them safe. Yes, she whispered. God help me. Yes. I still love you. His kiss was desperate, grateful. When they finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. Thank you for staying. Thank you for not running. Where would I run to? She managed a weak smile. You're stuck with me, Dominic Dante, for better or worse. Definitely worse at the moment. Then we'll work our way back to better, together. They stayed like that until the sun fully rose, until the immediate danger passed, until Elena's sister called to say the children were awake and asking when they could come home. Soon, Elena promised. We'll come get them soon. When they finally retrieved the children that afternoon, Sophia took one look at Dominic and said, Something happened, didn't it? He crouched down to her level. Yes, but it's handled. You're safe. You'll always be safe. I promise you that, Sophia. Did someone try to hurt us? They thought about it. They won't think about it again. Sophia studied him with those two old eyes. Then she threw her arms around his neck. Thank you for protecting us. Dominic's arms came around her, and Elena saw his eyes close, saw the emotion he was fighting to control. Always, sweetheart. Always. That night, after the children were asleep, after the estate had been checked and rechecked for security, Elena and Dominic lay in bed together. The adrenaline had finally worn off, leaving them exhausted and wrung out. I've been thinking, Dominic said quietly. Maybe we should leave. Take the children somewhere safer. I have properties in Europe. We could start over. No. Elena turned to face him. We don't run. This is our home, our life. We don't let people like Volkov chase us away from it. Even if staying means more danger? Even then, because you'll protect us, and I'll stand beside you. And our children will grow up knowing that family means you fight for each other, that you don't abandon the people you love when things get hard. He pulled her close, his voice rough with emotion. How did I get so lucky? To find you in the worst moment, to have you choose me despite everything. You saved me first, remember? You gave me and my children a life worth living. Now I'm just returning the favor. By staying with a monster? By loving a man who'd burn the world to keep his family safe. That's not a monster, Dominic. That's exactly who I need you to be. The following weeks brought change, additional security, stronger protocols. The children weren't allowed to walk anywhere alone. Elena hated it, hated that they'd lost some of their freedom. But she couldn't deny feeling safer. Dominic became even more protective. He attended every school event, every art show, every swim meet, as if his presence alone could ward off danger. You're hovering, Elena told him one evening, watching him check the windows for the third time. I'm being cautious. You're being paranoid. She crossed to him, taking his hands. Dominic, you can't live like this, constantly waiting for the next threat. You'll drive yourself insane. Then I'll go insane. Better that than lose you. You won't lose me. We're stronger than whatever comes at us. We've proven that. He pulled her into his arms, holding her like she might disappear. I never knew I could love someone this much, that I could be this terrified of losing something. It's exhausting. Welcome to parenthood, she said wryly. Now multiply that feeling by 4. His laugh was surprised, real. Is this what you felt like? All those months when you were drowning in debt, working yourself to death? Every single day, terrified that one wrong move would destroy everything. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you had to live like that. Don't be. It brought me to you. She looked up at him. Everything we went through, your world, my desperation, Marco's debt, it all led us here. To this moment. This family. I wouldn't change it. Even knowing what you know now, about what I'm capable of. Especially knowing that, because it means I understand exactly how far you'll go to protect us. And Dominic? She stood on her toes, kissing him softly. That makes me feel safer than I've ever felt in my life. His arms tightened around her. I love you. More than power. More than money. More than anything I've built. You and those children. You're my everything. And you're ours. Outside, night settled over the estate. Inside, their family slept safely, protected by locks and security systems, and a man who'd moved heaven and earth to keep them that way. Elena thought about that night in the parking garage. The terrified widow facing down a dangerous stranger. How impossible it would have seemed that she'd end up here, married to that man, loving him, building a life with him. She thought about the debt that had brought them together. $60,000 that had felt like an insurmountable mountain. Now it seemed laughably small compared to what they'd built. Marco's debt had nearly destroyed her. But in a strange twist of fate, it had also saved her. Given her a second chance. A better life. A man who loved her and her children with a fierceness that bordered on obsession. What are you thinking about? Dominic murmured against her hair. How strange life is. How the worst moments can lead to the best things. How the man I was terrified of became the man I can't live without. Poetic. True, though. He kissed the top of her head. Come to bed. Tomorrow's another day. Another day of you being overprotective? Another day of me loving you. The overprotective part is just a bonus. Elena laughed, letting him lead her to their bedroom. To the life they'd built together. Imperfect, complicated, occasionally terrifying, but theirs. The rich Mafia boss had come to collect a debt and found so much more. He'd found a woman who saw past his darkness, children who taught him what it meant to be good, a family that made him want to be better than what he'd been, and Elena, the desperate widow who'd had nothing left to lose, had found her salvation in the most unexpected place. In the arms of a dangerous man who'd proven that sometimes the darkest people carried the most light. That love could bloom even in the shadows. That protection could look like ruthlessness, and that family was worth any price. They'd faced down threats and emerged stronger. They'd chosen each other again and again through fear and danger and impossible odds. And they'd keep choosing each other every day for the rest of their lives. Because that's what family did, what love demanded, what they'd promised each other in that garden, surrounded by flowers and hope and the future they were building together. The debt had been paid, but the love story? That was just beginning.